Dadako na naman tayo sa isang highlighted segment ng usapang ito, non?
Well, happy World Philo Day. Kasi hopefully lalabas to before ng World Philosophy Day.
Oo nga pala, oo, tama. And as promised, na matagal na pinapangako nung last year pa, at least we try na mag-introduce ng philosopher sa isang usapan. We try to review his thought, his way of life, and yung thought niya vis-a-vis the contemporary thought. And swertehan natin, for today's episode, we will be featuring no other than the angelic doctor.
Angelic Doctor, yeah.
Angelic doctor himself, Thomas Aquinas.
Kaya ito po, umpisa na nating usapan. Usapang Aquino tayo ngayon, pero yung Aquino na doktor ng iglesia. So, ito po muli si Lennon.
At ito si Russell.
At ito ang Tamang Usapan.
Usapang may
Sel. Ayun, Sel. Yun nga, katulad nga ng sabi ni Russell, matagal na nating gusto to, no, na magkaroon tayo ng parang at least once a month isang episode na wherein we will highlight or introduce a philosopher or a thinker, no? So, not necessarily philosopher. So, ngayon, umpisahan natin yun this month, sakto na World Philosophy Day. Paglabas nito siguro before World Philosophy Day. So, we chose Thomas Aquinas, no? Thomas de Aquino. Kasi, this year, itong 2024 tsaka 2025 ay double anniversary. So 750 years ng kanyang kamatayan, ng kanyang death anniversary, and 800 years ng kanyang kapanganakan, no? Birth anniversary ni Thomas Aquinas. Medyo ewan ko, Sel, ikaw, pero ako in the preparation of this episode, it's a bit complicated para sa akin kasi when we were in philosophy, no, gana tayo sa college, hindi ko talaga na-appreciate noon si Thomas Aquinas kasi I have many prejudices, biases ba, na parang, alam mo yon, yung normal na medieval, puro Diyos lang yan. O kaya puro set answers na boring, parang ganun ba. Ganun yung presentation eh. So, hindi ko nga nabasa eh. Tapos, ang kapal pa nung Summa Theologica, di ba? Kaya nakakatakot basahin. So, pero now reading his biography and other reflections then, and also reading a bit of the Summa itself, I am now beginning to appreciate Thomas Aquinas better. Kaya rin gusto kong maano natin ito, ma-introduce natin siya, no? Ikaw, Sel, ano bang si Thomas Aquinas sa iyo?
Well, interesting that you asked that. When we were still in high school, Aquinas was introduced to me more of a theologian than a philosopher, actually. So, if you remember Father Bart, no? Father Bart Baksal.
Oo, Father Bart.
Yan yung isa sa mga pinaka magagandang lectures na na-attendan ko nung sakristan tayo. Tama ka nga doon eh. Medyo ganun nga talaga yung presentation kay Thomas. And I think it's because of the fact na ganun kasi siya nag-present during his time. What I'm trying to say is, yung si Father Baksal kasi, si Father Bart, alumnus siya ng UST. So,
University of St. Thomas, di ba?
They're really proud of that, heritage nila, no? And ang tinuro ni Father Bart nun is yung 5 ways to prove God's existence. And anong ano ba, parang second year lang yata ako no'n, third year.
Ng
Talagang
high school.
oo,
Hmm.
mangha ako talagang fascinated talaga ako sa person and ah, yung thought ni Thomas Aquinas. Pero above that, apart from the heavily theological approach, Aquinas was also introduced as somewhat a spiritual companion, kumbaga. After all, he's a Dominican friar. Um, he did not live that long, of course. Sabi nga nila nun 50 years, no? 50 years apart lang yung death niya sa birth niya.
Natanda na yun nung time niya.
Oo, considering na Middle Ages. Pero apart from that, ang isang talagang tumatak sa akin when you speak about Aquinas is his love of the Eucharist. Aquinas is so famous actually. Those who love studying everything about the church. He is famous for composing the most beautiful Eucharistic hymns. Yung Pangelingua. No? Pangelingua means sing my tongue of the Savior's glory.
I
Yung
think isa yan sa, hindi yung Pangelingua, at least yung later part, yung Tantum Ergo, ay isa sa mga natitirang kabisado o alam ng mga tao na Latin hymn.
Tantum Ergo, part siya ng Pangelingua. Siya yung last two verses ba? Strophe. Verses
Hmm.
ng Pangelingua. Kasi pero we highly encourage na basahin nyo yung text. The text itself is a work of art. How it was composed, try to imagine yung depth ng devotion. Actually yun yung yun yung talagang nagpapatatak kay Thomas Aquinas kasi he was renowned back then as a very critical thinker, very scientific thinker, 'di ba? And nako-contrast siya nung yung lalim ng spirituality niya, especially when it comes to the Eucharist. No? Very beautiful. At isa pa doon yung Adoro Te Devote.
Isa rin yan, maganda rin yan.
Hidden
Hidden God, I adore you.
I adore you. Very, very wonderful. So yun. And I was confirmed on the feast day of Thomas Aquinas.
Talaga ba?
January 28,
Ah,
2011. So, dapat pala Thomas yung aking confirmation name. Pero back then, yun nga, dugtungan ko lang yun. Si Thomas kasi, siya rin yung author nung tinatawag na Questiones Disputatei de Veritate. Ibig sabihin, yung mga disputed questions on truth. So, yung Q&A format, hindi siya bago. Talagang ganun talaga yung way of presenting arguments back in the Middle Ages pa. And yung process na yun ng pag-organize nun, isa si Thomas sa mga monumental icons or monumental scholars who did it. Kaya parang halimbawa, question 1, may answer 1. So parang ganun din, how do you prove God exists? So sige. So question 1, can God be ganito? So answer 1, answer 2, something like that. that's the enigma of Thomas Aquinas, and even until now, he remains relevant to to society. I mean, mamaya mas madi-discuss natin yung thought ni Aquinas, eh, pero for the first part, it's more about his life, 'no? Kaya ayun, very, very relevant, still relevant, and he's a powerful thinker and influence sa academia even today.
First siguro yun na banggit na nga ni Russell. Umpisahan natin dun sa ano, no, sa kanyang biography, ng kanyang life, kasi when we are introducing a thinker, a philosopher, magandang tinitingnan din natin muna yung ano, yung kanyang biographical history, no, kasi makikita natin sa nanggagaling yung kanyang mga ideas, no. So katulad ng sabi na natin kanina na this year 2024 tsaka 2025 ay double anniversary ng death tsaka ng birth ni Thomas Aquinas. So si Thomas Aquinas ay pinanganak sa Rocaseca, yan yung pangalan nung lugar, Rocaseca, na panahon na yon ay bahagi ng Kingdom of Sicily na ngayon ay Italy na. Pinanganak siya noong 1225. So kaya 2025 na ano. Siya ay anak ng galing siya sa isang very powerful noble family na I think yung tatay niya ay may title na parang knight ng emperor, no, ng Holy Roman Emperor. Tapos they are wealthy Southern Italian family. So may yung kanilang education syempre ay ano, yung the best, no. So he was sent sa bata pa lang, mga 5 years old pa lang, he was sent sa Monte Cassino. Kasi yun ng Monte Cassino is the abbey ng mga Benedictines, one of the most important abbeys of the Benedictines in the world. Tapos a center of education by that time sa Italy at saka sa buong Europa rin, no. Tapos sakto na yung tito niya, kapatid ng tatay niya, ay yung abot nung abbey ng Monte Cassino, no. So simula siya doon mag-aral. However, nagkaroon ng hindi pagkakasundo, yun na lang yung term, between the Pope at that time at saka yung Emperor. Eh ngayon, itong Emperor itong abot, itong Monte Cassino, syempre ipapanig sa Santo Papa, di ba? Eh yung tatay ni Thomas ay knight siya ng Emperor, eh. So ginawa niya, pinul out niya yung anak niya, tapos nilipat niya sa isang center of studies na tinatag ng emperor sa Naples. Tapos ang sabi ng mga biographers ni Thomas Aquinas ay ito raw yung isa sa mga decisive moments, no. Bakit napili later on ni Thomas Aquinas na maging Dominican friar rather than a Benedictine monk? Dahil daw at this time, dito niya natuklasan sila Averroes, sila I don't think na Aristotle, kasi parang kay Albert the Great niya pa nakilala yun, eh. Pero at least yung mga philosophers and thinkers na hindi masyadong kilala sa medieval Europe. So doon daw niya yun natuklasan, and then I think at the age of 19, he decided na maging Dominican friar against the wishes of his family, no. Si Russell may magandang kwento dito, eh, kung paano yung naging conflict, no, between the vocation of Thomas A and his family. Paano ba, Sel? Anong kwento dyan, Sel?
Chismoso, eh, no?
Chismis. Historical
Totoo,
chismis.
chismis daw 'to, sabi sa akin. O nabasa ko lang din. Yun nga, when he was young, si Thomas, alam niyo yung apelyido niya, 'di ba? Yung sa Rocaseca kasi, merong locality doon na nakapangalan sa pamilya nila, Aquino. So Aquino is actually quite old already. One of the most prominent families in Italy. And yun yata yung symbol ng Aquino family. Kapag makita niyo si Thomas Aquinas, meron siyang araw, yung symbol yun ng Aquino family. Kaya yung UST, 'di ba? Pag makita niyo yung UST, yung symbol talaga ng UST is yung araw na may muka.
Cross, tapos yung nasa harap ay yung araw na may mukha.
Kasi yung cross, Dominican cross yun eh. Na symbol nung pagiging Dominican ni Thomas Aquinas. Pero the sun was actually the symbol of the Aquino family. So, sabi nila na hindi ko sure kung alam ko siya yun eh, pero Thomas felt the urge. He was inspired to enter the priestly life, specifically religious life. Mind you, if you try to put yourself in his shoes, he is a man, and probably he was being eyed as the heir to the Aquino family. So what happened was entering the priestly life or religious life in that sense, unwelcome yun. It's an unwelcome thing to have.
Lalo na magpraile kasi 'di ba panahon na yun mga Dominicans yung vow of poverty parang Franciscan, 'di ba?
Oo,
Talagang extreme poverty.
medyo bago-bago pa yung Dominican order nito kasi mga 1182 yata na found yun, something like that. Basta mga medyo bata pa yung Dominican order nun. Isa siya sa mga tinatawag na mendicant orders kasama ng Franciscans. So very extreme talaga yung austerity practices nila dati. Hopefully ngayon pa rin naman.
Hindi naman natin alam.
I happen
Pero
to
wala pa silang UST noon.
wala pa. UST, by the way, is the old name of UST was Universidad de Santo Rosario.
Before ba? Before ginawang Santo Tomas.
1611, it was University of the Holy Rosary. Dahil nga, syempre, the Dominican family was the one who introduced the meditation through the Holy Rosary. Eventually, yun, sobrang layo naman nun sa topic. Pero, kasi
Tamang usapan.
UST eh. Anyway, na-attract nga si Thomas sa Dominican life. And dahil nga doon, he expressed his intent to join the Dominicans. So sabi ng airpat niya, this is the stupidest thing I ever heard. So ang ginawa ng tatay niya, parang one night, siyempre sa castle sila nakatira, mind you, kung sila mayaman sila or wealthy family sila.
Noble family, yeah.
Noble, noble. Well, sa ibang usapan natin pag-usapan yung feudalism sa Europe. Iba kasi
sige, isang
iba
yan.
kasi yung noble sa rich. Magkaiba yun.
Oo, iba yun.
Yung mga noble.
Pwede kang noble na poor.
Yeah. Pwede kang maging noble na walang pera. Tapos pwede kang maging rich pero hindi ka noble.
Sila Thomas Aquinas, sila yung mga noble na rich.
Oo, noble na may pera sila. Kasi yung kwan lang naman nun, yung requirement to be a noble is to own a land. Something that the rich cannot do. Anyway, one night sa castle daw, pinadalhan daw ng tatay. Chismis lang to, no? Pinadalhan daw ng tatay ni Thomas ng babae to seduce him. And what he did, tinutukan niya ng torch yung babae. So he chased the woman away, proving his devotion sa life of chastity na very, very few na lang sa mga Dominicans and other religions.
Ang mga nag-aano ng torch.
Oo, nanonood ng torch. Kung meron baka makasuhan sila. Well, So during the time, sabi ng tatay niya, "Sige, compromise tayo. Kung di ka talaga mapipigilan, I will allow you to enter religious life pero you will become a Benedictine." And mind you again, dahil nga yung Benedictine community, yung Order of Saint Benedict, yung OSB na tinatawag, it was the premier monastic group sa West. So yan yung usher ng Western monasticism. Actually, ina-attribute din sa kanila yung pagligtas sa Europe. Kasi kung ma-backtrack nyo yung ating previous na usapan, after 476 na lugmok yung Western Roman Empire, like talagang everything na may remnants ng Rome was utterly destroyed by the Vikings, no? So, dahil doon, Rome in less than a century has become completely illiterate. And yet, sabi nila, around 575 onwards, Benedict received a call to spiritual renewal. Eventually, dahil doon nagkaroon siya ng community which later on became the standard monastic setup sa Western Europe. After that, it only follows na dahil nga sila yung premier group, they grew to be among the most influential, the most powerful communities sa Europe. During the time of Tomas or Tommaso, sa Italiano kasi Thomas,
Italiano. Tommaso, oo.
Tommaso.
Tommaso d'Aquino.
During the time, sila yung richest community. And even until now naman siguro, not only rich sa material, no? Pero sila rin kasi yung rich sa heritage and tradition. There was one study, I think it was the Benedictines who actually introduced music sa society.
'Di ba yung Gregorian chants ay from the
Gregorian.
Benedictines yun, di ba?
Si Gregory the Great, alam ko Benedictine siya eh.
Benedictine yun, oo. Kaya nga siya, si Gregory the Great ang nag-impose ng universal celibacy sa mga pare.
Oo.
Kasi ang image niya ng perfect clergy ay monastic clergy. So, pinattern niya doon. So, ibang usapan na naman yun. Diba? Tamang usapan talaga to kung saan napupunta.
So, ang bottom line lang naman doon, sabi nung airpat ni Tomas, ano pangalan tatay ni Tomas? Search mo nga.
Teka nga. Wait lang.
Niya, sige, payagan kita ang pare, pero Benedictine. Kasi mayaman tayo eh.
Landulf ang pangalan niya. Landulfo of Aquino.
Jeez.
Landolfo.
Grabe. Parang land bank.
Di ba?
Sa katigasan ng matigas si Tomas, sabi hindi kasi I find my calling sa Dominican family. Which, hindi naman siya napigilan. Natuloy siya. So, nagpunta
1 year pala siyang nakakulong doon sa castle nila. Ngayon nakita ko lang din ngayon.
Oo, kinulong
Grabe,
siya.
no? Kinulong eh.
Kasi tsaka siya pinadala ng babae nga doon. No?
Oo.
So yun, nagpunta siya sa Paris. Which during the time, center na rin yung Paris ng Enlightenment eh. Kumbaga, learned na rin siya. Center of learning rather, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Then, 1248, pinadala siya sa Cologne, sa Köln, sa Germany. Doon niya na nakilala at naging teacher si Albertus Magnus, who is, by the way, we celebrated his feast day last November 15th. He is known to be the Doctor Universalis, the Universal Doctor.
Yung mga title ni Albert the Great?
Yes. Kasi siya yung patron ng natural sciences. Ibig sabihin, noong time na yon si Albert, siya yung nagpa-pioneer ng integration ng theology with Arabic and Greek philosophy.
Ibig sabihin pala, Sel, hindi totoo na pagka-religious o pagka-pari ay anti-science na.
Ang
Kasi kung si Albert the Great pala ang father ng natural sciences.
Oo, actually, mas kilala si Albert the Great as a scientist rather than a saint. Ewan ko,
Oh.
I mean
Mhm.
sa mga scientific circles, you cannot discuss medieval foundations of sciences without mentioning the authority of Albertus Magnus. And he's quite the guy actually. He's quite the guy.
So siya ang ang teacher, ang master ni Thomas Aquinas. So makita na natin yun dun yung saan nanggaling yung very ni Thomas Aquinas sa reason, no?
Oo,
Yung
yung
emphasis niya sa
scientific
reason.
process, yung kasi
Mm.
during the time na ang isa sa mga na-o-overlook kasi when we are speaking about medieval philosophy, although mamaya pa nga pala 'to sa second portion natin. Pero yun nga, si Albert the Great nga was a scientist himself. So, dahil dun din na-introduce si Thomas sa processes na yun, which eventually he made a name for himself. So, after that, Thomas became a master of theology himself. Sabi nga dito 'di ba, 1248. By 1252,
Mhm.
si Albert was asked to nominate a student to study advanced theology. Si Thomas yung pinadala niya.
Ah.
Yeah. Then eventually, yan, from 1256 to 1259, he held the Dominican Chair of Theology in Paris. Then during that time, dun niya nakilala mga Franciscans, which is quite interesting. Tapos 1268, he was asked to return to Paris for the second term as Master of Theology. Diyan na siya nagsimula magsulat.
Ito ata yung yung University of the Sorbona or University of Paris na sabi nila lahat daw ng greatest philosopher, at least Western, ay dumadaan doon. So si Levinas nag-aral doon.
Sa Sorbonne,
Si
oo.
sa Sorbona, oo.
Hmm. Actually, among the great, I think Anthony de Padua was also sa university na yun. Yun, tapos diyan niya nasimulan yung mga magnum opus niya, yung Summa Contra Gentiles tsaka Summa Theologiae. Then, needless to say, during the time, nag-grow na sa reputation of excellence si Thomas. So, he became quite the subject matter expert, especially in theology. And mind you, during this time, the church was not that masasabi mong super stable. So from time to time, there were various consultations made, and that leads us to what we call as the Council of Lyon in 1270 something. So on his way sa Council of Lyon, sadly, Father Thomas died sa Fossa Nova, sa Cistercian Abbey ng Fossa Nova noong March 7, 1274. Kaya nga 2024 is the centennial of his death.
Death.
Septicentennial ba tawag dyan or something. Eh, 1225 naman, sa 2025 yung birth anniversary.
Yan.
So yun, mga details yun. Pero yung mga wonderful stories or anecdotes about Thomas was his love for the Eucharist. During that time, the theology of the Eucharist was actually became established because of guys like Thomas Aquinas. So, in a way, the way we understand and appreciate the teachings on the Eucharist, malaking impact nun si Aquinas. Yung transubstantiation.
No, siya nag-coin nung term, eh, nung term, hindi nung
Hindi nung
hindi nung
reality.
idea, hindi
Oo.
nung reality.
Yung transubstantiation, para sa mga ano, mga kapatid namin 'no, yung eto hindi ko 'to makakalimutan kasi ito yung laging tinuturo ni Father Bart, eh. Tayo ang mundo, tayo yung matter, 'di ba?
Oo,
Matter, matter, alam niyo ba matter, 'di ba?
material, oo.
Matter yung malaman sa tinapay, matter. So yung, matter, tayo yung physical na reality, 'di ba? Yung material, meron yang tinatawag na essence tsaka yung accidents. Talagang na-e-excite ako
Yan,
dito.
yan, oo, 'di ba mga terms na ni
Actually
Aquinas
second
yan.
part na 'to, sought na 'to ni Aquinas, pero
Papunta na tayo diyan. Hindi, sige lang, parang
pang-bridge
jumping
natin,
board.
pang-bridge
Oo,
natin, oo.
oo.
Yung yung essence, yun yung nagpapa-Lennon kay Lennon, 'di ba? Yun yung
Oo, yun.
nagpapabaso sa baso,
Yun yung
nagpapa-tape.
pagka inalis mo, hindi na siya yun.
Oo, so dito niyo rin maintindihan kung bakit gano'n yung perception natin sa world 'no, sa material world. Kaya yung mga ano, I identify myself as a table, dito magfo-fall sila dito sa ganitong issue kasi nga yung essence specific yun na ano, eh, na nandun lang sa being kasi 'no, parang
Oo.
ang hirap kasing i-ano niyan, eh, i-Tagalogin. Pero yun nga, yung nagpapalamesa sa lamesa, yung nagpapabaso. So kapag tinanggal mo yun, hindi na siya baso, hindi na siya lamesa. So yung accidents, yun yung kung paano mo siya nakikita. So kung yung baso
Yung
mo ay
kulay,
tangkad o yung
mm,
mataba o
height,
mababa,
ganyan.
liit, pula,
Gawa ba sa kahoy, gawa ba sa marmol?
oo, gawa ba sa glass, gawa ba sa something, sa bato, gano'n. So yun yung actually nababago, accidents 'no, nababago siya. So puwedeng matangkad, puwedeng payat, puwedeng malapad, puwedeng manipis, puwedeng makapal. Yung essence hindi nagbabago, hindi nagbabago. Kasi nga 'pag tinanggal mo yun, hindi na siya yun, eh. So sabi ni Tomas, "So what happens every time we celebrate the Eucharist?" By the way yung essence pala is substance din.
Yung sub, 'di ba, sa ilalim, stance, nakatayo. Yun yung ano,
Oo,
substansya.
oo kaya
Yung nasa pinakailalim yung nakatayo, ibig sabihin yun yung hindi nawawala.
yun yung dahilan kung bakit siya nakatayo kaya substance, 'di ba? Ibig sabihin yun yung pundasyon niya kung bakit gano'n siya. Kaya
Yun pala Tagalog,
'pag
pundasyon.
tinanggal mo yun, hindi na nga siya yun. So 'pag tinanggal mo yung pundasyon ng pagiging baso, tulad niyan, ano ba yung substance ng baso? Yung aspect niya na magagamit mo siya para inuman. So kapag halimbawa nadurog mo na ng parang powder yung dating baso, wala na yung hindi na
Hindi
siya
na siya baso. Mm.
baso hindi ka na makakainom dun, parang gano'n. So yun yung accidents, 'di ba? Ngayon sabi ni Tomas sa ating pagdiriwang ng Eucharistia, baliktad naman ang nangyayari. Kasi every time na binabanggit yung mga salitang binitawan ni Jesus mismo nung huling hapunan, yung tinapay at yung alak nananatili silang tinapay at alak. Walang nagbago, hindi sila nagbago ng anyo, pero nagbago sila ng substansya, ng essence. Kaya nga transubstantiation. Kapag sinabi na ng pare 'no, sa pamamagitan ng pare 'pag sinabi niya, "Ito ang aking katawan na ihahandog para sa inyo. Ito ang aking dugo na ibubuhos para sa kaligtasan ng nakararami." yung tinapay na gawa sa trigo na walang lebadura, nananatili siyang gano'n sa itsura niya. Pero yung kanyang substansya ay nagiging katawan siya ng Panginoon at nagiging dugo ni Kristo. Bagay na walang nakapag-explain, walang nakatumbok, nakaarok sa gano'ng lalim ng pagninilay sa Eucharistia. And yet, yun ang naging pundasyon ng ating
Eucharistic
pananampalataya,
theology,
ng ating Eucharistic understanding ng kahalagahan ng misa. Kaya nga hindi siya hindi siya basta lang, inimbento o parang wala lang sa may masabi lang, hindi. Bunga siya ng yun nga, yun yung isang point din ni Aquinas. He is usually regarded as a thinker, a philosopher, a theologian, a teacher, a master. Pero most of the people, they miss the point na siya ay mystic. Kasi hindi siya hanggang mental gymnastics lang. Most of his works or his reflections are deeply rooted sa prayer, sa meditation, no? Kaya there's quite an inspiring anecdote when sabi ni ano 'to, ang bida naman dito si Bonaventure. Medyo tropa yan sila, parehas yan silang teacher, eh.
kapanahunan, oo.
Temporaries yan sila. Sabi ni Thomas Aquinas daw, tinatanong niya, "Bro, saan yung sources mo ng mga writings mo? Anong reference mo?"
Oo.
Nagko-cross referencing sila, eh. Ta's dinala daw siya ni Bonaventure sa chapel. Tinuro niya yung crucifix dun, "Dun oh."
Ay talaga ba?
Ah, they are both mystics, and actually Bonaventure is also quite the guy, a humble one, and both of them were offered to be bishops. I alam ko Aquinas was also offered to become a bishop, and
Oh,
he
I
refused.
think parang before ata siya mamatay, malapit na doon, parang alam ko na offer yung offer as a bishop.
Oo, inoffer yun sa kanya pero he
Mhm.
refused. Same thing happened to Bonaventure. So, hindi niya alam na kardinal na siya. Inoffer sa kanya, nung parating na yung delegate, magka-ano naman sila contemporary, so puwede nating
Oo.
idugtong lang yung anecdote.
Yeah, yeah,
So, nung dumating na yung delegates from the higher
from the
up,
Pope. Mm.
dala-dala daw nila yung cardinal's hat. Pagdating nila dun sa kumbento, nakita nila si Bonaventure naghuhugas ng plato.
Mhm. Hmm,
Kaya ang ginawa nila, sinabit nila sa puno yung galero, yung
yung
sombrero.
Cardinal Sat, oo.
Oo.
Talaga ba?
Sabi niya, "Oh, huwag nating guluhin, naghuhugas ng plato." So ano yung common denominator nitong mga 'to? Sakit nating mga tao, mga Pilipino, yung we just often tend to look at the people in the pedestals, 'no. Thomas Aquinas, yan, OG, yan, badass philosopher. But, these people were also models of humility. They were they are not actually flaunting themselves to be masters. Actually, whenever they are being confronted with that, reflection, they turn to self-denial. Bonaventure, being the prominent guy that he already is, nandoon naghuhugas ng plato. Thomas Aquinas, when he had his mystical experience, nasaan siya, absorb siya sa prayer, eh. Talagang, immense siya sa meditation, and he heard the Lord asking him, "Pre, good work sa mga ginawa mo, pero ano bang gusto mong reward?" Ayan, mamaya pag-usapan natin kung anong reward yung
Mamaya yan. Pero
yun.
may isa pa pre na siguro before tayo pumunta dun sa thoughts niya, 'di ba?
Mm.
Yung pinaka talagang laman ng ng introduction na ito. May isa pang siguro anecdote na maganda nating ma-highlight no sa niya sa kanyang history, sa kanyang biography. Kasi 'di ba ang mga santo, especially nung mga kapanahunan ni Thomas Aquinas, especially yung mga praile, meron yan silang no, yung way na mag-cope up para makaiwas sa temptations of the flesh na tinatawag. So famously si Saint Francis of Assisi ay gumugulong ng walang damit sa Rosas, 'di ba? Eh ito rin si Thomas, meron ding kwento mo nga yan, Sel, paano nagko-cope up si Thomas Aquinas sa temptations?
Sabi nila, again, chismis na naman ito. Yun nga, unlike others, na kapag winter nga, tumatalon sa frozen lake, kapag mga springtime or summer, gumugulong sa thorny bushes. Dito, mas nakaka-relate ako kay Thomas Aquinas. Kaya talagang sabi lang nila, no? Hindi ko talaga sure kasi mula nung sinabi nila, hinahanap ko rin sa books eh. Pero ang kanyang sexual urges, binubuhos niya sa pagkain. Eventually, I have come to, I think it's also Thomas Aquinas, pero subukan ko hanapin ulit yung I think it was Thomas who also had, hindi ko alam kung opuscula niya yun eh, brief works, no?
Mm.
Merong discourse, i-ano na natin, labasan na natin yung hindi ko alam kung sino yun eh, pero it's also from a medieval time. There's a discourse na ang love ay energy.
Familiar yan, oo.
So, dahil energy yung love, hindi yung parang new agic na energy na
Hindi yung 'di ba, energy
upo ka
ng
sa
nature.
upo ka sa puno tapos damahin mo yung positive energy and ilabas mo yung carbon
Yung
dioxide.
negative, oo.
Oo, yung mga Pachamama, mga gano'n. Mga hindi gano'n 'no. It's an energy which, uh, it's like a fire within na nagpu-push sa atin to do things, to it gives us the drive, no, the courage, or the tawag dito, the strength to do things. So yun daw yung love, and it is usually located in the centermost core of our being. So dahil nga daw doon, um appetite, no, appetite towards food and sexual appetite is closely interrelated. Kasi nga nasa gut daw yun eh, it's a gut thing. So,
Yun palang sasabihin ko pagka sinabihan nila akong nananabaraw ako.
oo, sabihin mo ano ka lang, I am at fire. In heat, 'di ba, yung mga pusa in heat. Pero gano'n daw yun, yung, alam ko si Thomas Aquinas nga yun. So yun nga, dahil nga daw yung stomach natin at saka yung ating, reproductive organs are closely dahil nga magkalapit naman talaga yan. So yun, probably that explains why Thomas would recourse to food whenever he feels, urges na against sa vows niya ng chastity, parang gano'n. But, well, hopefully it's not to discredit Thomas, but, well, like me, he's quite the guy. Medyo malaki, medyo mataba yan si
'Di ba
Oo,
sabi nga sa tsismis, yung sa mesa raw nila sa refectory may parang hiniwaan na yung mesa niya para makakapasok siya.
ako I find it unfair. Yung tsismis na yun parang ewan ko kung OA lang yung kuwentong yun, pero I would not want
Alam
to.
mo mga prile,
Pero
baka OA nga yun.
medyo mataba nga daw talaga si Thomas kaya 'di ba 50 years old nga siya, so medyo parang ang tsismis nga dahil nga nung papunta siya sa Leon, medyo nadali nga yata siya sa pagkain. Parang inatake yata sa puso si Thomas.
Ah,
Walang inatake or whatsoever, hindi naman natin.
possible, very possible 'yan. Anyways, 'yan ang ano, 'yan ang biographical sketch ni Thomas Aquinas 'no.
Sketch
So
ba yun?
dumako na
Parang
tayo ngayon.
parang
Parang ano,
panoramic na painting na nga yata yun. Hindi
hindi
na
ngayon dumako naman tayo dun sa second segment natin 'no, yung thought na. Introduction lang naman kasi ang main goal naman talaga nitong episode natin dito sa Tamang Usapan is to introduce to you the person and the thoughts no ni Thomas Aquinas para if you are interested you can continue sa research no sa pagkilala sa kanya sa pagbasa sa mga works niya. So just to introduce ito yung thought no yung thought system ni Thomas Aquinas. Si Thomas Aquinas ay tagapagmana nung Augustinian Fides Querens Intellectum no yung faith seeking understanding or sa translation ni Saint Anselm of Canterbury pala ay credo ut intellegam no so I believe so that I may understand. So may ganung yun nakita natin kanina yung influence sa kanya ni Albert the Great, yung paano ire-reconcile yung reason with the faith, no? So nowadays, lagi natin yan naririnig na parang sabi nila na contrary raw, na pagka scientific ka, automatically dapat dapat kung hindi ka atheist, agnostic ka. 'Di ba? Pero panahon ni Thomas Aquinas, hindi yun totoo. Hindi napaka-imposible nun, 'di ba? Kasi napaka closely related yung science, yung natural sciences, tsaka yung theology. So faith and understanding reason is very closely related. At yun yung parang rason d'etat, no? Yung reason of being nung thought process ni Aquinas. Ito rin yung actually yung kinikritik sa atin ng mga protestante na masyado raw tayong mga Katoliko na masyado raw tayong naka-base sa reason, 'di ba? Sabi ng isang um, very famous Protestant theologian, si Karl Barth. Kasi pag binasa ninyo yung theology ni Karl Barth, parang Catholic theology. Pero sabi niya, kaya hindi lang ako nagko-convert dahil sa dahil sa reason. Dahil para sa mga Katoliko, may place yung reason dun sa pagkilala, sa discover mo sa Diyos, no? So, yun yung yun yung pinaka reason of being ng thought process ni Thomas. May sasabihin ka Sel, ka kanina.
sabi daw kasi, yung isa sa mga core ng Protestant, theology, yun nga dahil nga wala silang philosophy. Dahil kasi ang reason nga daw is contaminated because of
Oo.
sin. Actually, this is very important, especially to our friends na non-Catholics. Yung if you can also help us investigate further, yung actual roots ng Protestant thought. Kasi tulad nun, hindi yan actually tinuturo sa sa karamihan, eh. More on the alive, alive, Jesus, Jesus na agad. Parang wala ng foundation. O sa totoo lang, yun nga, yung foundations, yung underpinnings kasi it helps shape the community, the way of life. Totoo din yun. Well, during the time naman wala pa naman masyadong hindi pa talaga formalized yung Protestant movement time ni Aquinas. Pero during the time nila Aquinas, diyan nila nakakascade yung philosophical foundations ng theology. Kasi nga medyo established ng akademya, tapos meron ng mas stable na yung means to preserve yung mga writings. Actually, according to the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, Aquinas is one of the thinkers na most preserved ang
Oh.
ang works, like something like parang 8 million words ba? Parang ganun. Sana ba yun? Life and works. Over a mere 2 decades of literary activity, Aquinas left behind more than 8 million words, which is 8 times more than has survived, for instance, from Aristotle.
Actually, utang na loob din natin na maraming nakasurvive kay Aristotle dahil sa kanya rin eh. At least sa sa West.
Yeah. Kasi nung nasunog yung dalawang libraries, doon talaga nagsimula din yung demise natin sa life, 'di ba? So, ayun, yun lang naman yung aking nun. Pero ano na ba tayo? Sa thought na tayo ni
Sa thought niya tayo. Oo. Yun nga, yun yung background, no? Yun yung pinanggagalingan niya nung thought process ni Aquinas, no? Yung reconciliation ng reason tsaka faith, no? Fides et ratio, sabi ni John Paul II. First, siguro isa sa pinaka major contributions ni Thomas Aquinas, not just in theology or in philosophy, pero may effects din to sa politics, sa kung iba-iba pang bahagi, iba-iba pang branches of knowledge, no? Yung insistence dun sa natural law, no? Anong meaning nito? I mean, para kay Thomas Aquinas, moral truths are accessible through reason and observation of nature. So, nung isang araw, siguro mga 3 weeks ago na yun, kausap ko si Doc Joyce. Si Doc Joyce kasi nagtuturo siya ng ethics. Tapos by that time, nakwento niya sa akin na yung kanyang dinidiscuss is yung debate between natural law and yung anong term yun, yung God-given law, parang gano'n, na saan nanggagaling ang morality or ang ethics? Yun ba ay dahil dinikta ng Diyos? O yun ay dahil natural law yun? So sabi niya, ang nasa natural law ay si Thomas Aquinas. So medyo rin siya doon, na-amaze siya ba na parang kasi 'di ba Thomas Aquinas, santo, praile. So isipin mo dapat dito siya sa God-given law, 'di ba? Pero hindi, si Thomas Aquinas ang nagdiin ng natural law. Again, yun yung minana niya kay Albert the Great, no? Tsaka kay Aristotle din na importansya ng natural law, ng nature, ng natural sciences dun sa na para kay Aquinas, para kay Thomas Aquinas, hindi contradictory yung faith, yung ang existence ng Diyos at yung existence ng natural law. In fact, dun mas nagsha-shine at dun natin yun yung term niya eh. Dun natin unang nadidiscover yung existence ng Diyos dun sa nature. So now, going back dun sa morality, we see things as good or moral because it is naturally good or moral. And God is the creator of that nature, no? So merong fingerprints niya baga dun sa nature na doon ang gagaling yung goodness, no? Yan yung natural law. And from there, I think nandiyan din ang galing yung human rights. 'Di ba? Diyan na yan eh. Mga Dominicans ang isa sa mga unang hindi naman nag-imbento, pero unang nag-organize, nag-formulate nung idea ng human rights na ang mga tao ay may inalienable rights, no? Especially sa may bandang Universidad de Salamanca, yung mga Dominicans doon. And syempre si Thomas Aquinas as a Dominican ay isa rin sa mga proponents and at least inspirators niya, no? Sadly, kapag nakakita ka ng mga history of human rights, minsan hindi nila ini-include yun, yung sa Salamanca o kaya no, kay Thomas Aquinas. Pero galing sa kanila yan, silang nag-ano niya.
And oo, sila proponent niya, no? And sila din yung isa sa number 1 violators niya. Tomas din yun, si Tomas de Torquemada. Yung
Si Torquemada, oo.
Inquisition, di
Yung
ba?
Inquisitor, oo. Pero isa rin sa mga tagapagmana nila si Bartolome de las Casas. So the famous defender of the natives sa Latin America.
Yeah.
Kaya rin sabi nila na kaya nung pagdating ng mga Espanyol sa Pilipinas ay mas protected yung mga natives. Dahil din doon, dahil yung mga pumuntang praile yung mga estudyante ni Bartolome de las Casas. So may ganun, no? May ganung
ganda
heritage.
Oo.
So nanggaling yan dun sa insistence ni Thomas Aquinas na sa natural law, no, na in nature we can observe God, we can observe, hindi natin siya makakapture buo kasi never naman talaga, pero we can observe his fingerprints, no? So yun yung first step natin sa pagtuklas natin sa Diyos. So importante yung nature tsaka yung natural law.
Nun kung lang sakali, very specific na 'to, kung puwede mo sanang bigyan muna ng background. Thomas Aquinas and his philosophy was deeply inspired by Albert the Great, no? Pero among the things that Albert really imparted to him is a close religious study on Aristotle. So, can you give us
Yeah.
of Aristotle first? Kasi yung sinasabi mo, yung ethics,
Sige.
virtue ethics yan eh. Na grounded sa idea ng natural law. Yung virtue ethics, hindi yan purely Aquinas. It's actually Aristotle.
Aristotle, oo.
Eudaimonia ni Aristotle. So,
yan yung mga gusto natin, eudaimonia.
Pwedeng kung bigyan mo lang kami ng pahapyaw dyan kay Aristotle, dudugtong
sige.
So yung metaphysics na Aristotle, tapos kasi yung may prime mover.
Ayan, pagdating natin na kasunod dito, di ba, yung Quinquevier, no?
Sa ethics naman, virtue ethics. Kasi mga magkakadugtong sa ancient philosophy kasi, yung triumvirate na yan, si Socrates, si Plato, tsaka si Aristotle.
Yan,
They discussed philosophy in a manner na hindi siya compartmentalized unlike ngayon na pwede kang ang field, quote and quote, ang field mo ay psychology ka lang. Sila hindi. Lahat yan isang package based
holistic.
Sa cosmology din nila, how they perceive the world, yung Weltanschauung sinasabi ni Kenneth Masong sa German, yung worldview. Yung time kasi na yun, ikaw pinag-i-explain ko pero ako yung nag-explain, no?
Di ba?
ni Father Masong, yung worldview nila Aristotle ni Plato, cosmocentric sila. So, ang mahalaga during Greece kasi, yung mga ancient Greek
philosophers,
baliw yan sila sa cosmos eh. Kasi everything nga is cosmos. So, lahat magkakasama. The gods are there in Olympus, pero they are not separated from the cosmos. They're just part of the cosmos. Then humanity is another part, completely, independent from the gods. then the cosmos itself is an entity completely independent from humans and the deities. So from that point of view, uh, Aristotle painstakingly grappled with that um, quote unquote limited um, understanding during the time, and he tried to make sense of things. Kaya nga, unti-unti niyang inintroduce nga yan na hindi eh. Apart from this cosmos, there must be something outside of this cosmos doing these things. Ngayon, bakit importante yon? Yung metaphysics ni Aristotle, kasi it eventually shaped his psychology and yung formation nga ng virtue ethics, which is grounded on natural law. Sige, Non,
Natural law.
ikaw na mag-expound doon.
Siguro background doon, no? So, since the time of Saint Justin Martyr, the patron saint of philosophers, no, para sa ating mga Katoliko, ng mga Orthodox din. So, since the time of Saint Justin Martyr, nagsimula talaga yung very dedicated na dialogue ng faith, ng simbahan, at ng philosophy, no? Ng thought in general. And since the time of Justin Martyr, ang talagang close sa theology, no, sa Judeo-Christian tradition ay si Plato. So andyan yung mga idea nung form, sabi na natin yan, no, yung idea, yan. So may mga may mga translation yan na pagdating sa Christian theology, yung sa soul, tapos yung body soul, di ba, yung mga ganong ideas. And then makikita natin kahit si St. Augustine is very Neoplatonic eh. And then came Thomas Aquinas. Nung panahon ni Thomas Aquinas, ayun, na-discuss natin kanina tsaka sa previous episode natin about the Roman Empire, na nung pagka-fall ng Roman Empire, lahat ng mga, especially nung yung fall ng Western Empire, bumaba yung education sa western part, no, sa Europe. And then pag-fall ng Byzantium, ng Eastern Roman Empire, lahat din ng yaman ng ancient Greek philosophy ay na-restrict doon sa Muslim world, no, sa Arab world, sa Ottoman Empire. So ngayon walang access doon ngayon yung West, yung Europe. And kung may karoon man ng access, medyo with suspicion kasi galing sa mga Muslim. Parang ganun yung noon idea. Anyways, yung works ni Aristotle ay na-preserve doon sa Ottoman Empire. And then it found its way through trade actually sa Venice, it's a merchant republic, or through Spain kasi nga panahon na yun halos 90% ng Spain ay Muslim occupied. So dumating doon, and then natagpuan niya yun ng the likes of Albert the Great. And ang talagang nag-appropriate kay Aristotle ay si Thomas Aquinas. At siguro yung isa sa malaking pinagkaiba ni Aristotle at ni Plato, nakita ninyo yung painting sa Vatican yun, di ba? Yung The School of Athens. Yung dalawang nasa gitna, di ba? Si Plato yun tsaka si Aristotle. Pag tinignan mo raw yung maigi, si Plato medyo nakalutang ng konti. Si Aristotle nakaapak sa lupa. Kasi parang explanation doon nung artist ay parang, kasi yung Platonism, especially yung Platonism ay more on the ideal world, while Aristotle insists on the reality. Kaya sabi ng iba, mas realist daw siya, kaya rin may insistence siya dun sa natural law, sa natural sciences, sa physical. Yung metaphysics ni Aristotle ay bago ka makarating sa metaphysics ay mapag-aralan mo muna yung physics niya. Diba? Kaya meron tayong physics eh. Before nang kay Newton, ang buong physics, Aristotelian eh. So, doon ang gagaling yun, no? Kaya, background lang yun. Pero maganda yung sabi ni Russell na nabigyan na niya ng magandang discussion yan, yung importansya nung nung influence ni Aristotle kay Thomas Aquinas, tsaka dito yung appropriation ng virtue ethics sa Christian ethics or Christian morality, no, as we know it today. So yun yung pagdating sa natural law, no. So after that, isa pa siguro na pinakasikat, I think ito yung pinakasikat na ano talaga sa Summa Theologica or sa buong corpus ng works ni Thomas Aquinas, no. Yung Quinque Viae or yung five ways, no, five ways of proving God's existence, no. Lately, in the modern times, no, nung simula nung marami ng mga allergic sa scholasticism or sa Thomism, yun din yung yun yung sinasabi ko kanina nung umpisa, medyo allergic din ako noon kaya hindi ko talaga na-appreciate si Thomas. Pero simula noon nung medyo marami ng allergic sa Thomism, dinidiscredit ito at saka parang iniiwasan natin gamitin. Pero going back to this, nung nagre-research ako for this episode, I realized na napakayaman itong five ways, no? May imperfect siya pero napakayaman ito na pwede nating magamit para sa apologetics especially, no? So five ways of proving God's existence. So magsalitan tayo, Sel, ng bawat isa dito, no, ng discussion. So yung first way, ito rin to, minana rin niya to kay Aristotle. So idea ni Aristotle, tapos i-Christianize niya or in-adapt niya para dito sa argument niya for God's existence. Si Aristotle ay very important kay kay Thomas na sa Summa. Pag sinabi niya the apostle, automatic yun si Paul. Pero pag sinabi niyang the philosopher, automatic yun si Aristotle. Ganun ka importante yung effect sa kanya Aristotle. Anyways, Quinque Viae for the five ways. The first way, argument from motion, no? Yung premise is that everything in motion must be set in motion by something else. Walang pwedeng gumalaw kung walang gagalaw. Diba? So, just imagine yung Jolens, diba? Yung Jolens, may yan eh. Anong term ng kinetic energy yun, diba? Yung potential energy ng paggalaw. So, may potential siyang gumalaw pero hindi siya gagalaw kung wala mo ng pipitik.
Yes.
So, ang reasoning, ang syllogism baga ni Thomas is that if motion exists in the world, therefore whatever is moved by another, kasi nga hindi mo pwedeng galawin yung sarili mo. Hindi pwedeng yung Jolens ay gumulong siya mag-isa. Kailangan may pipitik sa kanya. And pag sinabi natin, okay, yung Jolens, gumalaw yon kasi may pumitik, may daliri. Yung daliri ay gumalaw yon kasi mayroong tao. Anyways, pag tinuloy-tuloy mo yun, hindi mo ka pwedeng yun, ad infinitum, no? Kailangan magkakaroon ng the first mover na tinatawag, no? Na tinatawag ni Thomas Aquinas na after nung lahat ng yun, nung series, nung cause effect, hindi pala, kasi mamaya pa yan. I mean yung mover moved. So, dapat mayroong dulo yun. Hindi pwedeng ad infinitum yun. At yung unang gumalaw na yung unang pumitik na yun, that is God. The unmoved mover is God. Yun yung kanyang conclusion. Yan ang first way.
Yeah, and mind you baka kasi ma-confuse kayo when you go about researching on these things. Aristotle during that time would already use the term God. Yung primo movens, yung the prime mover, the first mover.
Prime mover pala, ayun pala ang magandang translation.
The prime mover is God. Pero upon understanding this, sabi ni Thomas, okay, this God is the God of Christianity. The one, the only God. Parang ganun. So, very related to it, kung meron ngang mover, may first or prime mover, of course, there should only be one first cause. Kasi if again, yung natural law, no, if you observe natural law, makikita mo na everything happens in an eternity of causes and effects. So you will see isang bata o isang musmos sinisilang ng isang magulang, whether hayop o humans, and isang sculptor, ah, nag-ukit siya ng isang work of art, no, or pintor, nag-painting siya. So, meron kasing 5 causes, 'di ba, kay Thomas Aquinas, yung final cause is the final product, eh. Tas yung efficient cause nakalimutan ko yung tatlo, eh, pero,
Oo,
ah,
ano nga ba yung mga yan? Sa
basta
sacraments din yan, eh.
may 5 causes
Kalimutan
yan,
ko.
eh, oo. Basta yung final cause, ito na yun, yung ano itsura mo, kung ano itsura nung isang bagay, 'di ba? Tas meron pa yun yung more of the, tawag diyan, parang functional cause yata, kung ano bang gamit niya. Kasi it's
Oo.
also one way to describe yung essence o yung substance ng isang being, eh. Pero sinasabi nila dun yung efficient cause, yun yung dahilan kung bakit nabuo yun, eh. So tulad nga niyan sa isang painting, yung Mona Lisa, yung efficient cause niyan si Leonardo da Vinci. Ngayon, kung lahat ng ano, lahat ng bagay sa mundo may efficient cause, it's only logical to think na merong isang efficient cause na hindi siya kinos. Alam niyo ba yun? Uncaused cause siya.
Uncaused cause yan.
Oo, siya yung first cause na dahil sa kanya lahat ay nalikha. Lahat ay nagkaroon ng, buhay o nagkaroon ng purpose. So yun, second way.
Okay, third way. Yung third way ay yung tinatawag na argument from contingency. I think isa to sa pinaka genius kumbaga dito sa five ways. Lahat sila genius pero ang ganda nung ano nito, ng idea. So contingency, no? It means contingent. So pwede o pwedeng hindi, no? Parang if statements, no? So ang meaning nito is that everything in this world is contingent, no? Pwedeng mag-exist, pwede rin namang hindi. Halimbawa, ako ay exist. Pero if some years ago, di ko na bibilangin kung ilan, pero some years ago ay hindi nagkita si Kapule at si Kakang Elsa, eh hindi ako mag-exist. At walang maraming magbabago pero walang ganong effect sa universe kasi pwede ako mag-exist, pwede rin akong hindi mag-exist. Ganun din sa lahat ng bagay sa mundo, lahat ng tao at lahat ng bagay sa mundo. Anyways, yung chain of reasoning nito is that contingent things cannot always exist. Yun din. I exist now, pero human as we are, there is death, no? Yung reality of death. So may end. So everything have a beginning and an end. So if everything were contingent, no? Ibig sabihin, mayroong time na walang nag-exist. As in nothing, di ba? Pero if nothing existed, kung as in wala talaga, walang pwedeng magsimulang mag-exist. Kasi nga, going back yun, walang mag-uumpisang unang pumitik, walang unang magiging sanhi ng lahat. So kasi walang nag-exist eh. So wala ring magkakaroon ng later on existence, no? So therefore, there must be a necessary, yun yung term, necessary being, no? Na magsisimula ng lahat. Itong being na to, itong simula na to ay dapat nag-exist na siya since eternity, no? Hindi lang since eternity, talaga eternal eh. So this necessary being is God. Yun yung ni Thomas Aquinas na yung nag-i-ensure ng existence natin as contingent being ay yung necessary being. At itong necessary being na to ay yung Diyos. That's the third way.
The fourth way is argument from the point of view ng degrees of perfection. So, according to Aquinas, all things would exhibit greater or less degrees of perfection. So, merong ano to eh, tawag dito. Tayo as human beings, being the most rational animal, kaya nating ma-determine kung gaano kaganda ang isang bagay. Meron tayong aesthetics eh. Unlike, ang aso, wala namang aesthetics yan eh. Kaya nga tuwan-tuwa sa'yo yung aso mo eh. Ay, diba? Hindi niya alam na pangit ka. Pero ang tao may ganun. Diba? Kaya, from that argument, merong mas perfect, may less perfect. Merong imperfect, merong sobrang imperfect. So, dahil nga to sa degrees ng perfection, sabi ni Thomas Aquinas, so, there should be the supreme perfect. There should be the perfect being that sets forth the degrees of perfection. Na kumbaga, if you think about the most perfect being na walang second to none, kung sino pa mas perfect doon, yun ang Diyos. So, that's a fourth way.
Tapos, the fifth way, no? Para pangsara dito sa Quinque sa 5 ways. The fifth way is called the argument of, or from, the argument from design, no? Yung grand designer. Kapag in-observe natin yung mundo, in general, no? Yung universe, and also yung human body. So, both yung astrophysics na tinatawag, pati yung biology, pati yung microbiology, we can observe order. Mayroong everything has a specific function, specific design, no? So for example sa universe, kita natin na planets revolve around a star. At least sa atin, the sun, our star is the sun, a star, and these planetary systems, these solar systems revolves around another galaxies, no? Mayroong ganung function. Ganun din pag tingnan natin from within, no, sa human body. Mayroon ding yung design ng ating mga vessels, yung blood vessels natin, di ba? Yung design ng bawat organs natin ay mayroong specific function, merong design. Yun yung merong design. So, kung lahat ng bagay sa mundo, and even the smallest things in the world, no, ay purposeful, no, meron siyang purpose, meron siyang function. Ibig sabihin, dapat mayroong intelligent designer. Hindi pwedeng ako yon, hindi pwedeng ikaw yon. Kasi nag-exist na ito before pa sa atin. So, we have to look back. Sino yung intelligent designer na yon, no? Kasi nga, hindi to accident. Actually, yun din matatouch natin doon. Yung iba, yung argument ng iba is that convincing yung ng Big Bang, di ba? Yung iba, nakakalimutan nila na ang unang ng Big Bang ay Catholic priest, si Father George Lemaitre. Ang idea niya is that the Big Bang, hindi lang siya accident na sumabog lang eh. But it's actually designed yung pagsabog na yun. So orderly, it's a orderly disorder, kumbaga. So yung pagsabog na yun, yung pag-form ng mga planets, yung pag-form ng mga organisms hanggang sa mga microorganisms ay designed. So that's very faithful dun sa idea na to ng fifth way na dapat magkaroong intelligent designer. And that intelligent being is God. And that is the five ways, no?
Grabe, no? The genius of Thomas Aquinas, and how he shaped the the intellectual community of Europe, and even until now. Uh, you know that you are a relevant thinker if somebody is aspiring to be one. Alam mong relevant ka kung hanggang ngayon people are still thinking of how to refute what you have thought. And there are so many contemporary writings as of now. Sa Reddit pa lang nagre-research din ako ng Queen Quevilla, 'di ba? As relevant as latest as Reddit, no? They are trying to refute the five ways of Thomas Aquinas. Again, tama si Lennon. It does not mean that you have arrived in your philosophy, eh, it is irrefutable. In a way, this shows how human intellect is still far from the reality, the truth of God. And this is just one. These five ways is just one way to acknowledge that there is actually a way.
One way Jesus.
Parang parang one way, no left turn. Meron pala akong point of correction. So,
Go.
nabasa ko pala dito, sana makaabot pa kayo sa part na 'to ng podcast.
Kung di pa kayo
Oh, at tama pala si Len actually. Sabi dito, while he was journeying to Paris to join the Dominicans, he was actually kidnapped by his family.
Okay, kidnap to.
Kasi ayaw nilang maging Dominican siya. Hence, nung kinidnap siya, doon siya kinulong sa castle.
For a year. Yeah.
About 2 years nga daw, sabi dito, ng
2
Britannica.
years.
Yeah.
Grabe, no?
And during his detention, yung mga brothers pala niya yung nagpadala nung babae.
Hindi naman pala si Landolph. Kala ko naman tatay niya eh.
Pero pero still unsuccessful yung effort.
Mm.
Eventually still became Dominican and one of the finest, the best, the brightest rather. Ayun.
Ang lesson niyan, dapat lagi kayong may torch sa kwarto. Joke lang. Anyways, yun yung 5 ways. Nakita na rin natin yung natural law. Yung isa pa siguro na very important ito medyo mas mystical, no? Beyond ng philosophy at theology. Mas mystical naman na part ng thought ni Thomas Aquinas yung eternal question, 'di ba, na philosophical question actually, na why are we here, no? Purpose, human purpose, no? Yung sagot doon ni Thomas Aquinas, yung human purpose, yung ultimate goal natin bilang ng humanity, no, bilang mga tao, is union with God, or in the words of Thomas Aquinas, beatific vision. Ano nga mo dyan, Sel? Beatific vision. Mapakaganda nga niyan.
Yeah, isa sa mga not doctrine pero one of the most beautiful notions or tenets ng Christian faith na inintroduce ni Thomas Aquinas. Beatific vision is defined as a vision of God. Being able to see God face to face. Whether it's with the eyes, the corruptible eyes of our flesh, or the eyes of our faith. But yung sinasabi kasi sa Biblia, no one has seen God and lived. So automatically beatific vision occurs upon death. So for Thomas Aquinas, the objective of Christian life is by the end of our earthly lives, um, we can gauge the quality of the life we led if we'll be able to see God face to face. Beatific vision is also tantamount to sainthood. No, kasi it's you cannot see God, you cannot be with God if you are not uh, holy. So it's also the promise of Christianity that if we configure ourselves to live the way Jesus lived, to have that faith that Jesus had, we will be joining him in the house of the Father. And Thomas Aquinas made this monumental teaching so that the Christian life will have a clear answer to the indestructible question of who am I and what is my purpose in this world, in this life, what is my role. Kasi yun ang problem eh. Mamaya, i-discuss natin yun kung yung decadence no, ng scholastic philosophy. Kasi si Thomas
Oo,
Aquinas,
yan. Oo.
icon talaga yan ng scholastic philosophy. Ang problem nga yun, sinasabi nila yun nung first part ng podcast, yung pinaka-introduction. It seemed, it happened na sadly, Aquinas is reduced, no, unjustly reduced as a Q&A guy, like a fixed
Reddit
answer,
guy.
o as a Reddit guy, as a Quora guy, parang a fixed answer friar and closed-minded scholastic. Pero no eh. Actually, he offers so many rich reflections on ethics, on Christianity, na dahil na-reduce sa doon, parang tulad niyan, meron ng ibang shade yung appreciation sa thought niya. Pero actually, the foundational thoughts ito. Usually, ginagamit natin 'to sa catechism, sa mga missions, sa simple teachings no on of the faith. Thomas himself, no, the guy, he's as simple as he comes. Kasi he is a preacher eh. Dominican siya. Order of Preachers ang Dominicans. Mind you, no? It's the Order of Friar Preachers. So, he tried as much as possible to make his works understandable, especially among the simplest of men. He was not writing for fellow academics. Kaya nga yung questions about the truth, it's it's one way of reaching out to people. Problema mo, yung mga Thomists.
yan.
Ah, pero yun yung sagot ko doon sa Beatific Vision. Ikaw ba nun?
Nasa catechism yan eh. Yung, especially yung sa compendium na, yung parang gano'n din, question answer, di ba? Why am I here? Why what is my purpose in life, di ba? To see God, to be with God. And I think it was Irenaeus ata yung nagsabi na sabi niya, God became man so that man may become God, no? Not in the
Augustine.
pantheistic. Augustine ba?
Si Irenaeus, the glory of God is man fully alive.
The glory of God is man alive. Oh. Augustine niya. So, hindi yung sense ng pantheistic na union na mapupunta ka, ma-dissolve yung self mo at tapos kakainin ka ng divine one. No? Yun yung idea ng pantheism eh. Pero yung idea ng union, no, with God in the Christian sense, in Catholic theology, ay mas mayaman at mas iba dun sa pantheistic sense, no. So ito yung beatific vision sinasabi ni Thomas Aquinas, no, na yung goal natin as humanity, as human beings ay yung union, no, to yung sa layman's term siguro natin ay yung umakyat sa langit. Yun yung term natin eh. Pero yung ano doon ni Thomas Aquinas to beatific vision, beatific, di ba? Blessed. Kasi nga to see God, yun nga, biblically, we cannot see God.
Yung ano, yung dugtungan ko lang, quote, yung quote mo kay Augustine,
Ah,
the divine became human so that human became divine, become divine. Actually, Aquinas is one. He also offered one beautiful reflection on that. Yan kasi one of the oldest ano yan eh, one of the oldest teachings, and he actually related it sa Eucharist eh.
oh,
For Augustine, beatific vision was made possible because God initiated it. God actually initiated. And bakit nasama yung Eucharist? Kasi merong notion, yung tinatawag na sacrum commercium, the sacred commerce, no? God exchange, the divine exchange na tinatawag. So, God exchanged His divinity to become man like us, to show us that there is hope for us, that we can be one day be one with Him sa beatific vision. Kaya yung sacrum commercium, yung Tagalog nun, banal na pakikipagpalitan.
sasabihin ko sana ano eh, pamamalengke. Mas
Oo,
tama yun, pakipagpalitan.
barter. ah, Banal na barter.
Kasi yan ang ano, beatific vision. And then, so nakita natin yung sa natural law, and then yung Quinque Vie, tapos itong beatific vision. And then also, na-discuss na rin naman natin, yun nga yung pag-adapt niya dun sa Aristotelian virtue ethics, no? Papunta sa Christian ethics. So, yan yung mga main thoughts, no? Sa corpus of thoughts ni Thomas Aquinas. Na karamihan diyan matatagpuan natin sa Magnum Opus niya, no? Yung Summa Theologica. Yung format ng Summa, kaya rin siya very useful, no, to the point na it became its own demise. Kasi very useful siya para sa mga nag-aaral sa mga estudyante. Kaya nga scholastic kasi sa school, di ba? Para siyang Reddit nga, yung sasabi ni Russell kanina. So question, answer, refutation, counter argument.
Yeah,
Ganun
yeah.
yung style ni di ba, ni Thomas Aquinas. Tapos he tried to cover everything, no? From creation to biology, to microbiology, di ba? Galing no ano ni
Yung attitude
Thomas
dati,
Aquinas.
I think the last philosopher na may tinatawag na encyclopedic knowledge was Leibniz. So,
Ah,
everybody before Leibniz was regarded, pag sinabi mong scientist ka or philosopher ka o master ka, you have encyclopedic knowledge. And actually, kaya nga Doctor Universalis si Albertus Magnus kasi he's quite the encyclopedic guy. And Summa Theologiae is just one book. The other is Summa Contra Gentiles.
ayan, oo.
Yun yung book ni Thomas, I think, about apologetics.
Mas apologetic nga yan, no?
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, to offer yung parang synthesis diyan. Tama ka nun, yung he tried to be as comprehensive as possible. So, ano ba yung implication o ano ba yung relevance ni Aquinas today? So, when it comes to faith and reason, or the dialogue between faith and reason, using all of his acumen, Aquinas championed the harmony of faith and reason. No, he really asserted na complementary yan, na hindi mag-exist yung isa without the other. So, by imagining that, um, I can only imagine that if Thomas Aquinas were alive today, he will continually engage with debates on science and faith. no, and advocate for a view that respects both empirical discovery and spiritual understanding. Yung ano, no, yung empirical, no, empirical.
Empirical, yeah.
Holistic view sa human person. Kaya nga yung mga human rights, dignity, and ang mahalaga diyan yung ano eh, kaya yung actually naging foundational yan sa mga constitutions natin across the world. Ito, impacto ni Aquinas eh. The holistic view of a human person that recognizes both material and spiritual dimensions. Kahit hindi siya nakasulat sa Constitution, pero Philippine Constitution, for example, with that kind of mentality about the sanctity of human life, naka-embed doon na meron tayong understanding and appreciation and valuation of the human soul, which is very, very Thomas. Kasi nga,
Exactly.
Aristotle, yung philosophy niya, yung matter, meron din kasi siyang soul eh. 'Di ba? Yung indestructibility of the human soul. So, Christianizing it, that's the impact, that's the power of Thomas Aquinas. Ngayon, on socio-political thought, hindi lang siya mystic, hindi lang siya theologian. Aquinas also wrote about justice, no? Governance, and yung moral obligations ng leadership, ng mga pamahalaan, no? Long, long, long before the social contract theory, merong ino-offer na alternative eh, ang Christian philosophy on governance. Kaya nga, napaka-unfair nila sa medieval philosophy, medieval times, na parang very monarchy, tapos crusades, and napaka-unfair.
Actually, going dyan, pre, naalala ko may ano si Thomas Aquinas eh na remembering na yung context ay medieval. Thomas Aquinas is actually arguing for a monarchy pa rin, pero elected. Just like yung parang sa Holy Roman Empire, di ba? Ang Holy Roman Emperor ay elected eh. So, may mga electors parang US, no? Pero yung view ni Thomas ay mas democratic yung pag-elect dun sa emperor. No? So, I mean, imagine that na from a medieval friar, may ganun ka ng idea. So, hindi siya talaga backwards kasi ganun yung natin eh. Tingin natin sa
is backward.
medieval.
Actually, without the medieval times, without medieval philosophy, walang proper appreciation ng classical thought, ng Renaissance. Wala yan, walang magiging Renaissance without the medieval, especially sa social justice. Yun nga, si Thomas Aquinas, he set forth the backbone of social justice discourses na eventually na-adapt nga ng mga taong tulad ni Bartolome de las Casas. Kasi Thomas has become the standard of Dominican studentate or student life, no? Every Dominican perceives themselves as a student at the foot of the master, of course, Jesus Christ, wisdom. Pero one of the best teachers that they have is Thomas Aquinas. So social justice, even environmental ethics, kasi dahil nga siya ay
cover lahat.
Fan ng natural law eh. So meron siyang regard for nature. Bagay na wala naman dati eh. Na parang okay, nature. Pero Thomas actually tried to synthesize it in his philosophy, in his work. Kaya okay na magiging environmentalist din ito si Thomas.
Diba? May isa pang that I really like dun sa ni Thomas Aquinas, yung conscience. Diba sa kanya nagsimula yung idea na sabi niya, kahit na sabihin ng conscience mo, lahat ng sabihin ng conscience mo sa'yo, yun yung susundin mo, yun yung morally right para sa'yo. So sabihin ng conscience mo na huwag mong sambahin si Kristo, kahit na erroneous ang tawag doon, 'di ba? Erroneous conscience 'yun. Susundin mo pa rin 'yun. So diyan na nagkakaroon na 'yun ng door, no? Open door para doon sa mga sa salvation ng mga non-Christians dahil dun sa conscience, no, formation ng conscience. So nung una ko yung na encounter yung idea ni Thomas sa conscience, medyo ako, parang na-weirduhan ako ba. Sabi ko, parang ano to? Kasi yun yung una kong naisip na example eh.
Irreconcilable
Um,
siya eh.
Oo, kasi parang iniisip mo, 'di ba yung ano yung extra ecclesiam nulan basta outside the church
Nula,
there is no salvation.
nula
Oo,
salus.
nulam sula, nula salus. So yun yung una ko na noon na na-encounter na problema doon. But then again, later on, doon ko mas na-appreciate yun na, okay. So, Thomas Aquinas is actually opening a door, no? Hindi lang sa situation na yon para sa ecumenical situation. Pero sa mas malawak din na understanding sa morality, no? Siya po yung hindi ibig sabihin nito na gina-justify natin, no, na tama na yung ginagawa mo kahit na mali naman talaga. Ang ano lang nito is yung insistence na dun sa formation of conscience. And I think that is the job of the evangelizer, di ba? Of the catechist, of the parish priest, no? To form consciences. Kaya wag po kayong magreklamo, wag kayong magalit kapag kayong mga pari at religious ay nakikialam, yan yung quote unquote, nakikialam sa social issues. Hindi, kasi trabaho nila yan to form consciences.
Yeah, kasi sinasabi kasi 'di ba, separation between the church and state. Actually, I like what uh, Rodrigo Duterte said sa unang sona niya na of course there should be separation between the church and state, pero there should never be a separation between the people and God. So, 'di ba kahit mga gano'ng no, mga gano'ng tao,
Di ba?
they can
May mga
spew
ganun tao at least.
spew some wisdom, 'di ba, out. Um, yung discourse sa conscience is also one of the things I appreciate as a Christian, as a as a Catholic kasi, ah, may theology on conscience. Sa tingin ko, it's really high time to also revisit yung teaching on conscience since people, before kasi, after the Industrial Revolution, 'di ba, parang mas naging focus tayo on, self-determination, eh, 'no? And, we have been busy proving our worth based on the things we do, na. So, pa-modern tayo ng pa-modern, pa pahina ng pahina na yung introspection natin, yung capability natin ng examination of conscience, examination of consciousness na sinasuggest sa mga Jesuits. Pero part of that, it will help us understand better yung conscience with revisiting tulad ng mga going back sa basics, just how Aquinas thought of it, parang ganun. And that brings me kasi nga yung sinasabi mo yung sa even the non-Christians, no? Yan. One of the things I admire about Thomas Aquinas is his respect for various philosophical traditions. Ah, even kaya si Bishop Barron, I appreciate Bishop Barron kasi may tendency tayo na hindi yung truth lang namin kasi yung truth eh. Kami lang ang maliligtas kasi kami lang ang may nito, kami lang may hawak. But Aquinas actually understood the assignment na we are all just citizens of this world after all. And we are just mere partakers of divine wisdom imparted through various epochs, through various generations, through various traditions. Kaya even outside the Christian faith, may respect siya, may respect.
Mm.
Hindi ibig sabihin na siya, blindly accepting lang, no? In fact, syempre, di ba, isa sa mga kinalaban niya na heresies was yung, I think it was Averroes.
Albigensian?
Hindi. Averroes yata.
Mhm.
Averroes ba? Kalimutan ko na. Hindi, Albigensian, si Saint Dominic yun eh. Dominic yun. Pero, dahil nga doon, di ba, imagine, Christianizing Aristotle, then integrating with the Arabic philosophers, di ba? Integrating, gleaning what can be learned from them. I think Thomas Aquinas can actually speak about pluralism, tolerance, and cross-cultural understanding. I would like to believe so. And if we have that kind of perception, um, after all, we can realize na Thomas Aquinas is actually a really great guy. Beyond I mean, education kasi very na siya eh. Na siya eh, paragon na siya ng academic life. Pero mga itong interfaith, sociopolitical dynamics, he's also relevant eh. Bagay na kung
Untapped resource.
hindi siya dapat nare-reduce lang sa Summa Theologica, yun lang ko dyan. 2 cents worth.
Yan. Nakita na natin yung yung thought ni Thomas Aquinas.
Yung pusa namin.
Ay, hello Mingming. Hindi, pero siguro punta na tayo. Ito na yung pa-conclusion na po ito. Kaya kalma lang kayo. Pero yun, kanina, nabanggit natin yung yung story nung sa pag-write niya yung kanyang manual po sa yung Summa Theologica. I remember Brother Romy Abulad, may he rest in peace, sa isang conference namin noon sa seminary, no? So in-invite namin siya. Then he was there with another very dear professor to me, si Kabe Tuebeo. So parang dialogue sila doon. And then I remember si Brother Romy, may sinabi siya na about kay St. Thomas Aquinas. Na si Thomas Aquinas daw, for him, for Romy, for Brother Romy, is the first postmodern philosopher. So medyo nakakagulat yung paano mo sasabihin na isang medieval friar, medieval Dominican ay postmodern, no? So ang justification ni Brother Romy doon is that dahil dun sa ginawa ni Thomas Aquinas after niya isulat yung kasi hindi naman talaga niya natapos yung Summa. Tinigil niya yung pagsulat ng Summa kasi sabi niya, lahat to, paka lang to. Lahat to, ano yung term sa Tagalog na? Yung sa stables, yung
Dayami.
parang dayami. Lahat to, tong sinulat kong to, tong Summa, dayami lang to. Hindi nito mako-cover yung buong mystery of God. Yan, dito na natin yung nakikita yung depth niya nung mysticism ni Thomas Aquinas. And kanina Sel na ano mo na, very dear sa akin yung kwento na yun eh. Yung nakapag-allude ka na kanina dun sa kwento na yun na one time daw, 'di ba? Yun nga. So tinigilan niya pagsulat ng suma. So kinuha niya lahat ng mga ano niya, ng mga papel niya, lahat ng sulat niya. Tapos pumunta siya dun sa altar. Pumunta siya sa harap ng krus. Tapos inilapag niya doon yung kanyang mga sinulat, offering everything to God, no? So nakita raw to ng mga ano niya, ng mga kapwa niya praile. Tapos and then Christ said to him, Thomas, Thomas, you've done well. You've written well about me. What reward do you want? No? Anong gusto mo ang kapalit? Anong gusto mong premyo para sa magandang trabaho mo na ginawa mo? And sabi niya, ang response niya, non nisite Domine. Nothing but you, Lord. And I think that's the most powerful. No, it really encapsulates yung buong life and works and thoughts ni Thomas Aquinas. No? Lahat yun. Lahat ng kanyang insistence niya sa natural law, nung Quinque Viae, yung beatific vision, yung virtue ethics, lahat yun nakaangkla doon. Doon sa desire, no, to have nothing but the Lord, no? Non misite Domine. So, ang ganda lang nun para sa akin na someone who we regard as haligi, no? Ng filosofiya medieval, ng university education, can realize that before the Lord, there is nothing else much more important, no? So, he realized na yun yung premyo, yun yung reward na pinaka-importante at pinaka-grand na reward na pwede niyang hingin. Nothing but you, Lord. Non nisite Domine. So, yun ang aking ano dyan.
Nadudugtungan ko yun. Apparently, sabi nila, that realization took place when he was at mass.
Oh, kaya altar. Okay.
Hindi, yung after having an experience, religious experience sa misa, doon siya nag-decide na i-abandon lahat ng pagsusulat.
Okay.
Noong 1273.
Again, yung Eucharistic spirituality niya, no?
Probably mga December yon kasi sabi doon, 3 months later, he died. So, as my closing, since yun naman talaga yung tumbok ng kwentong ito, no, how fascinating that through all those 50 years, Thomas was exactly brought to that very moment in his life. No, na he was destined to do something great, but still, alam niya, hindi yun yung greatness na talagang end state ng isang tao. And so, kung sino man tayo ngayon, kung ano man ginagawa natin, kung ano man naging nakaraan natin, ano yung skills natin, lahat ng ito dadalhin tayo doon sa ultimate moment. Saan tatanungin tayo ng Panginoon, ano bang gusto mo after all this? And hopefully, may we have that courage, that affection that Thomas had to ask nothing but simply, ox na ako boss, ikaw lang, sapat na. Thomas Aquinas is also Jejemon pala, no? Ikaw lang, Lord, sapat na. Wala na iba, wala mga ibang kailangan. And 'Di ba, napakaganda, sa kahuli-hulihan ng lahat. Ayun, salamat sa pagsama sa amin sa 2 oras ng kuwentuhang ito.
Sana may natutunan naman kayo kahit papaano.
So, please comment kayo 'no kung, sinong gusto naman ninyong targetin namin.
Oo, kasi we really like na tuwing regular 'to 'no, at least every month meron kaming, ipe-present na thinker or philosopher 'no, baka di niyo pa kilala. So ito rin after nito sana you research more 'no, if you want to know more about Thomas A. 'no, kay Thomas Aquinas.
Ayun,
So ayun, maraming salamat at well tapusin natin ito ng kung with a question 'no, para pwede kayong mag-comment diyan sa comment section 'no. So, how do you reconcile faith and reason in your personal life? Yan gusto namin malaman kung inyong mga diyan sa comment sections 'no. Again, maraming salamat po. Isa 'to sa pinakamahaba nating mga episodes pero we really enjoyed it 'no.
yes. At hahaba pa 'yan. Kaya
Okay, tapusin na natin 'to.
dito na muna kami. Ito po si Russell
Ito naman po sila nun.
at ito ang Tamang Usapan.
Usapang may tama.